In this video, we're going to talk about sorting our sources. As we go through a research project, it can sometimes be confusing to know what sources we still want to use, which ones we found as relevant, which ones were credible. So this video will show you how to do that so you can stay organized and get the best information for your project. So today we will understand that we need to be clear about which of our sources are relevant and credible to focus our research and identify our useful sources. We will demonstrate our understanding by using the strike-through text feature to separate the sources we want to use from those we do not. Organization is really important when you're researching. We need to stay organized to stay focused with our research. So again, we need to know what to keep and what to ignore. We need to know which of our sources will help us. So we're only going to use those sources that are both relevant and credible. We need to narrow down our ideas to what we really want to know. So you may have a really good research question, but by going through this process, you'll also make sure that the sources that you have are the best ones to answer that question. So this is a pretty easy process because we've been doing work all along in our research journal. So really all we're going to do now is just kind of go back through what we've done and add the strike through. So the first thing that you'll do, you'll open up your research journal. In the green column, you're going to find a source that is not relevant. Remember, you went back through all of your sources, you made a summary, and then you wrote a little bit in the green column about whether your source was relevant or not. So this should be easy to see. Once you find a source that is not relevant, you're going to highlight the text there. In Google Docs, you'll select the Format menu and then Strike Through, and then that will put a line through that text. So you'll be able to see very clearly that that source isn't really going to work. So let me show you kind of what that looks like. So here is my research journal. And I've been keeping track of my sources. My first source actually is relevant, so I'm going to skip that one. But my second source is not relevant. So I can see that very clearly. I have my summary over here on the left, and I have in the green column where it says that my source isn't relevant and why. So I'm going to highlight the text, come over to the Format menu, and I have a lot of different options here, but today we're going to use the one called Strike Through. And when I do that, now I can see that this is all drawn with a line through it. That'll just be a really good visual cue to me to realize that, okay, this one doesn't work. So I would go through in all the rest of my rows and strike through the sources that are not relevant. If it is relevant, we're going to keep it, at least until the next step. But if it's not relevant, go ahead and we want to do the strike through. In the same way, we're going to move on to the next column, the blue column, and we're going to strike out the sources that are not credible. So you're going to look at your research journal. In the blue column, find a source that is not credible. Highlight the text in that column. Again, go to the Format menu and select Strike Through. So just like we did in our relevance column, only we're going to come over to the blue column. So my first source is credible. My second source wasn't relevant. My third source, I went ahead and did the whole crap test, and most of it's okay, but I see here it says it was accurate but not appropriate because it's a government site and the language is a little too difficult for me to understand. So I'm going to highlight all this text here. All the text in that column. And I'm going to go back to my Format menu and choose Strike Through. And I would probably do it here in these other columns too, so I know that all of this is not really going to work for me. And I would keep going through my journal that way. By the time I'm done with this, I'll be able to see very clearly which sources are going to work and which ones won't. So once I have done that, I'm going to look at the sources I have left and think about what these sources have in common. And then maybe also recognize how are they different. I would maybe look at these sources and try to figure out if they go together or they answer my questions in different ways. Maybe they all say the same thing, in which case I might need to find some other sources. Or maybe they might answer my question, but maybe they don't really make sense together and I need to find some more sources. Or maybe I'll find out that I don't actually have enough information anymore. Maybe I had 6 or 7 sources to start with, but only 1 or 2 of them are both credible and relevant. And I'm actually going to need to grab some more sources. So the process again, you're going to open up your research journal, strike through the sources that aren't relevant, then strike through the sources that are not credible, then look at what's left and think, what do I still wonder? What's interesting to me? And do I need to do more searching or do I have enough information to actually answer my question?